Just did you? Yeah.
Always. I'm so good at that. Always forgetting to record. So welcome everybody. It's so great to see you guys tonight. I know there's lots of events going on tonight, and weekends in the summer, we only have so many Fridays. So I kind of take the chance of still holding space every Friday. Um, for so many reasons. One of the reasons is it keeps me consistent because I always look so forward to doing the class. It really keeps me in alignment with the week of just what's been going on. Hello, beautiful. Mwah. And this week's been really incredible. It has been the epitome of seeing five planets in retrograde all at once, where we had like this big shift, hey, and with Pluto shifting right now, and there's the good old planet Chiron that I don't know if you guys have heard about, but this is the one that brings us back to almost our teenage years, where it's bringing us retrograded back to about 10-15 years ago. And it's interesting in coaching because you see these patterns, right? And everybody's like, well, it's weird. I haven't thought of this for 10 years. I haven't found this for 15 years. You're like, yeah, that's Chiron coming into retrograde. And it makes so much sense. So, not to get too cosmic and woohoo, but there's such support, planetarily, there's such support in this morphic field right now to kind of bring stuff up into review. Retrograde is all about review, release, relief. Like that's what retrograde means, right? So the cool thing is a lot of us are at the point where we are tired of seeing these things come up over and over and over again lately. We are just tired of those old patterns, those old beliefs, those old lessons and tests coming up over and over and over again, right? So, this is a perfect time to be able to simply observe these things from this. I feel like we've come into this responsible, mature sort of conscious self where we're not that retrograded teenager anymore. Although some of us felt like it last week, in this last couple of weeks, Michelle's like, hello. I even had some things come up and I was like, wow, because the old me would have responded very differently than the new me did, even just in marketing, right? You start reaching out to people and you start getting messages from random people, and it's like, who do you trust in your field? And all these like sugar daddies started popping out of nowhere. And I was blaming my husband because last week he's like, maybe you should get into phones, phone calls, where I was like, did you just say that? And he's laughing. He's like, no, but I was talking about reading audiobooks. And he's like, you know where the money is? And so I laughed at him yesterday. I'm like, it's your fault for putting that in the field because you know what's come up. But the funny thing is like, when you go into those old experiences as a teenager, I would give a lot more of myself away without having that responsible maturity that I have now, where I kind of went, ooh, that just felt wrong in every way. I'm not even returning that message. Whereas before, I would get sucked into a conversation that I, probably just was not in alignment. So it's been easier and easier to kind of recognize these things and just go, whoa, am I my 20-year-old me, or am I making some responsible decisions right now? And so it's given me some insight to some things that are popping up. And that's, I feel like, probably where a lot of you are at too, whereas we have this insight now, we have this information. Now it's like, how do we actually apply it to ourselves? Because we're so good at teaching and we're so good at seeing it in other people. This is the self-reflective time that is just in our face, whether we kind of want it or not. And so it's been an emotional week. Like there's been waves where I'm not normally like, I'll cry numerous times a day because of what I do. You're with people, right? And you end up absorbing, some of the sadness, some of the whatever, you cry. But like, I got into a space where I cried for like 10 or 12 hours one day. And when I actually talked about it, it was about my wedding 17 years ago, that I was like reliving these, like, I was joking with Michelle this morning, we were talking, I'm like, if I don't have anything to stress about, my wedding from 17 years ago, decisions I made then about the amount of money I spent, or like I'm really beating myself about that right now. But the lesson was way more than that. It was deeper. It was how much stress I put on my mom, how many things I was, kind of hanging on to about that. We had a lot of tumultuous family stuff around that time. And so it was tied to so many things that I didn't even realize that were in there still. Never mind that were physically kind of sitting in my body. And so I was really called to do a little bit of energy work tonight. Hey, Miss Jessie, welcome. I don't know. I think your audio, you may not be able to hear me yet, but welcome. Um, I was really called to do a little bit of energy work just to help us let some of this stuff go that wants to be let go right now. Like just like, yeah, like are your hands tingling too, Sarah? Yeah. It's just like this push, right? This push to be able to let this stuff go. Any of that old stuff that is wanting to just be acknowledged and seen right now. I'm going to hold a really safe space for us tonight to kind of go into some of these energy centers, to go into that deep stuff. No worries, Jesse. I'm actually going to run through a really quick presentation just on the energy centers, just so you guys have a little visual, and talk about how our energy centers can hang on to certain things and, just really help us to be able to move them through. So, oh yeah, go ahead and share, Sarah. Absolutely.
Hi, Jackie.
Hello,
I'm
beautiful.
just so I'm just loving the timing of everything. I always do. Last night on a practice session, we were exercising intuition and getting reads on what resistance there was. And Kim looked at me in response to my true choice, and she's like, "I'm just getting a big U-turn," and I was like, "Yes." And all I could think was retrograde, 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 then Venus landing in Cancer, and right on the heels, Mercury communication in Leo. And I thought, oh, that's what it is. Like, I need to untangle some of the stuff. And then I saw your message and I was like, oh,
Let's do
there's where I
it.
need to be. So thank you.
Oh, it's my pleasure. And that's it. And there's so much. Like it's so beautifully aligned right now to allow us to just shift this. Like a lot of us are just bloody sick of not taking care of ourselves, not following through. Like Michelle said, the consistency, we know, and it's like feeding our true soul. We make these choices, but really, letting ourselves do it without any of that stuff getting in the way anymore. There's like, little pockets that are just still in there, and they're so connected to so many other things. But this little blurb of going back to that 10-15 year ago sort of shade, like we deal a lot with 0 to 7. We deal a lot with, all that stuff in the passive, but that sort of mid-grade 7 to 20 was a really big one. And that's kind of where we sort of zipped back to, or for some of us, even 20 to 30, all the decisions that we made, like, oh, it's just incredible, right? So, and there's so many things, like even with, um, in talking about, just because I know I probably won't get back to it, if we really focus on our long-term goals right now, that's going to be what kind of gets us through. Like, not so much even like going past that true end result to legacy, like going right on up the chain, just going right into like to where you really want to end up being known for that true, that true legacy that you're going to leave. That is kind of the guiding point, the North Star right now, to be able to really kind of keep us going through. And the beauty of it is that tonight, this little shift that's happening is the ancient mirror is going to open to allow us to really see what it is that we're truly meant to be, to really let that true light shine again. So I was I had this image in my head of when the crown chakra opened up, it was just going to allow all this information to kind of filter in finally, with all this space that we're clearing, right? Because we always want to make these changes, but sometimes when we can't, it's simply that we haven't let go of something to make space for that, right? Like it's, you know how you're kind of ready for things, like you'll hear Chris do a certain meditation and then do it again, or a certain recode and do it again, do it a different, and it feels completely different, connected to you in a completely different way. It's like you never even heard it before, because it's on that different level of understanding and sort of where we're at every single day. It changes, right? So today is a very exciting day with those little ancient mirrors being shown to us. It's it can be scary for some, but it can be that magic switch that a lot of us have sort of been needing, because this is all like, we're at this point for a reason, right? Like just kind of on the precipice of so many things. And this weekend, if we allow ourselves to actually be ourselves, we're going to really feel ourselves. So we're going to have to actually almost like kind of watch it, because we might be a little bit too much of our old self in that fun sort of free way. The encouragement and the alignment for this weekend is to kind of really surrender to what it is that's making you happy, and to really examine it with that sort of mature kind of new information outlook on things, to be able to really propel forward, if that makes sense. So I'm going to share up my screen really quick here so that I can take you guys through just a few of the really cool slides that I have here. Go straight to there. Okay. So when we talk about our energy centers, we have them, basically there's like 129 of them, right? But we kind of talk about the main 7 because they tend to be the ones that really sort of create a lot of the resistance in our life, create a lot of the personality traits in our life, create a lot of our personality of who we actually are. Now, when we have chakras that are a little misaligned, we can undergo a whole bunch of experiences, like things like anxiety, things like just feeling disconnected, feel things like being really restless, or spacing out all the time, or even over fixating on things. When our root chakra is a little bit closed, this tends to happen from things like traumas. It tends to happen from boundaries being crossed on familial lines. This root chakra is something that, when you are basically being formed as a fetus, this is what is filtering through all of the emotions, all of the memories. Your sacral, your root chakra, is actually kind of like the microphone from your mother when you were in the womb. So when you think about it, the things that you started to hear from before you were even born, if mom even had one thought of maybe not wanting you, that's in that root chakra, right? Maybe you had thoughts of when you were pregnant. All of that is in the root chakra, right? So we're going to go through a really good meditation to just let all of this stuff go. But I'm bringing this all into the field for us so that we can kind of mentally tag those things that we understand are in each center, and can then kind of approach it from a different way. I love my oils. I use them to ground, right? To balance, to kind of anchor, to get that connection, but I also put them right on the areas, right? So I'm not going to go through all that tonight, just because it ends up taking a long time. And this meditation that I'm going to do is going to be really big and beautiful. So I don't want to end up running too short on time, but I have an essential oil kit that I have put together that it ends up being about $150, and it's an oil for each center, and then I send along all of the, I've done like a root, or I've done a, sorry, I'm reading root, I've done energy center clearing package where I have an hour on each chakra, and we literally break it down, do a meditation on each chakra. There's 10 videos that come with it. Just so you know, not that I'm selling things, but I know everybody after is like, can I get those oils? And I never say anything. So it's out there if you ever want them. I do have something available. That's what I do. And the other thing is the meditation, right? The breathing. There's so many things. And in each of those videos, I kind of break down the breathing for each one, which rocks to use for each one, all this kind of stuff. However, I digress. And in the root chakra, when we know that things are like overloaded, when it's really full, when it needs to sort of release, this is when we have the things like the excessive spending, having a hard time changing. We're just slow. We feel heavy. We're overeating, or we're eating things unconsciously that we don't want to be when we've made decisions not to. We keep things around us materialistically. We keep filling that space with work or trying to kind of overcompensate in other ways. So having even addictions, things like that, they kind of tend to go in our lower chakras. And in the root chakra, I didn't explain, but and you guys probably know, however, it is basically that pelvic floor, that right very end of your tailbone. So when we get into the next chakra up, so second chakra is our sacral chakra. This sort of is the area right above the pelvis. It's right into the hips. It's that lower belly. Now, the sacral chakra, it has to do a lot with boundaries. So if we have, had our boundaries crossed, if we allow ourselves to have our boundaries crossed, if we cross our own boundaries on a regular basis, sacral chakra is often an issue. This area, I mean, all of the areas, they're going to hang on to certain things, right? So you're going to be vulnerable often to distress in that area on a cellular level. Things like having low back pain, even having pain in the reproductive organs, in the gut, in the lower gut, in the colon, things like that. It's amazing how things will settle in those areas. Your low back will go out, all sorts of stuff, right? Then we get into the actual sexual organs. If our boundaries have been crossed there, if we've got trauma in there, PTSD around that, like, it's incredible what sits in that sacral chakra. This is often why you see things like PCOS or, heavy bleeding, hormonal issues. It all kind of comes down to that energy center being out of whack. And so, just to meditate or use an orange rock or something like that is beautiful. I have an oil called Citrus Bliss that I use, that I put it right on the area for this one, because I know that's an issue. If my low back, anybody's low backs like to go out on them, that's that sacral chakra being overloaded. So we can have a lot of fears. We can have little passion. We can, some of our relationships can end up suffering. We numb ourselves. A lot of times, a lot of that sacral plexus stuff will lead to addictions because it ends up that you just don't want to feel. There's so much pain that can be held in that area. It can make us flighty. We can have some obsessive attachments, especially to other people. That codependency, sacral chakra. That's where you want to look at for that guy. Sexual addictions, being super, super sensitive, or not being able to kind of hold your boundaries, or just those emotions are huge. And that this week, like those emotions this week, if we can ride those waves, I mean, we need to feel these things. They are coming up. Pain is coming up. Trauma is coming up because it desperately wants to be seen right now. It is tired of not being heard. It sees this window. It's like your adrenal system. All of a sudden, if you stop, it'll knock you out cold if you're sort of overtaxed. This is what our energy centers are doing. It's called ascension symptoms right now. All this ascending that's going on, people are having crazy ass ascension symptoms, headaches, fatigue, emotion for 10 or 12 hours, pain in the body, heaviness, stiffness, all these. I'm sure Sarah can think of 30 more. There's a million ascension symptoms that are going on. People are like, yeah, I'm totally sick. All of a sudden I've got this flu. I wasn't even around anybody. It's like these spiritual flus. If you were meant to shut down and slow down, your body's going to do that to you right now. There's so many people that are just coming down with sicknesses right now. And it's like, but why? We're past that sort of summer. It's this ascension, these ascension symptoms, right? So that is sacral chakra. It's a beautiful one, but it holds a lot of pain. It holds a lot of pain. Now we get up into our solar plexus, and you can see the colors. We go sort of like a sunset, red, orange, yellow. Yellow is like this big, beautiful sunshine. Yellow is such a healing color. I love to think of it just as that sun, and the sunset just below there. It's just absolutely gorgeous. So when we have a hard time being alone, when we have, we just don't have that confidence, our limiting beliefs really get in our way, our guts hurt all the time. People, I know so many are just under distress right now, and their guts, it's just there, it's all in their guts. Everybody's like, oh, my guts, like I can't even eat, right? They're feeling pukey. And during this meditation, you may even feel a little bit pukey as well, just things sometimes people already are. Even as you go into that, it's like, just this, we need to just let it go. So we might feel like people don't like us, or we're not belonging. We just don't have energy. We want to just go to bed. We're feeling jealous of people. Like, that's that solar plexus. It's those boundaries that are, really asking to be honored, because it's yourself, right? It's ourself. And again, this one has some addictive qualities just because we tend to avoid a little bit. So the addictions aren't as bad, but we will dive into workaholism, because that is a safe addiction. This is where you see the doom scrolling, the, the habits, the things that we do, the overgiving, things like that. That'll happen from solar plexus being kind of out of alignment. If it's really, really full, we might be too dominating or too controlling, or we might even be, competitive, or like that male energy, that masculine energy, that go, 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 just I'm going to do it, and not being able to kind of be still. That is when the solar plexus has trouble. When you don't like just being quiet by yourself at home alone, getting into yourself, that's solar plexus. So it can feel some resistance when we go into meditation sometimes, if we're not used to diving on into ourselves and paying attention to what might be being said. So then we move up to the pit of our stomach. Yes, solar plexus alert, right? And gut feeling. That is the gut feeling, right? You got to pay attention to that. And so speaking of gut, then we have heart feeling, right? The heart is kind of where we should really be paying attention to. And the problem is with the heart is that it takes on all the pain, it takes on all the hurt, it takes on the hurt of the world. And it can end up causing a lot of pain. It can end up causing a lot of issues. Even when you think of blood pressure, you think of cholesterol, you think of your blood pumping through your body, it is kind of a symptom of having a plugged up heart chakra area. There's a lot of people that get pain in and around the area. I had an experience the other night in doing, it had to be some kind of Kundalini awakening, something. I had an asthma attack out of nowhere, and I haven't had them since I was a kid. But I was doing energy work, and I was moving through, I was in the solar plexus, sacral plexus. I couldn't breathe. I had to literally like understand what was happening. I was feeling of being a kid, being in the hospital, being like I've been like, it's been crazy this week. There's been some stuff shifting. But if I wasn't able to kind of embrace it from that, okay, I'm not dying, there's just something moving here and I need to breathe into it and allow it. It was profound. It went away, like completely went away by the end of my meditation. But I knew that I had to actually do a meditation to get through it, because it was so clearly energy, like when something's not yours, it's like, what is happening to my body right now? Talk to it, ask it, allow it to tell you, because the messages are so clear right now. Even if we couldn't trust ourselves, we can right now, because we're hearing that truth. Oh, and broken hearts, heart crushing, it's a thing, right? And it literally, it does feel like you could die. And when the breathing sort of starts to get in there too, that panic kind of takes in. If I wasn't going through all this stuff, I probably would have called the ambulance. Like, it was crazy. I had to go sit in a tub with Epsom salts and I had my earmuffs, like it was that intense. It was like, but I feel great now. I haven't, like, my throat chakra's been open. Everything's feeling good. I've been so full of energy. It's been amazing. But I had to let some of that go that I didn't even know was still there, right? So heart chakra, we can put a wall around our hearts. We can decide, I never want to get hurt like that again. And that wall goes up. We don't necessarily, decide that, but we choose, nope, I am not gonna, even when your pet dies, like, there's so many things that break our heart, and you don't even realize sometimes that it's a really old thing. Your mother dying 20 years ago can be just as painful as her dying last year, because you still carry it, you know, like there's no relationship like that. It's deep stuff. It's really deep stuff. And it's so there's so many lessons in all of this, but the heart, if we can't have a soft heart, it's like we can't receive. And this is where I will see a lot of that, you know, when people want that financial abundance right away, it's the heart that's often stopping it, because we've decided that we're never going to feel certain ways, but that way, you know, that we've decided we're never going to be happy again. We're never going to hurt like that again, because we're never going to be that happy again. It comes down to so many deep things in that heart, right? And you'll see this with our people pleasers when we don't know. I always do heart chakra work when I'm working with someone and I'm like, so, you know, what just makes you happy? What do you just want? And they're just like, I don't know. My family being happy makes me happy. You know, like other people around me being happy makes me happy. And that's what makes me happy. And I'm like, oh, we're going to go into the heart chakra today, you know, because it's that fear of being intimate with yourself, but also sometimes with other people. So yeah, this can make us a little bit critical. This can give us some boundary issues simply because we don't ever, with the heart chakra being a little bit out of balance, we never want anyone to feel like we did, in such a way that we will do everything that we can to have them not feel like that again, to the point where we actually make them feel like that again because we've been sort of focusing on it. So it's a really interesting area to get into, and we'll do a lot more diving into that in the meditation, because I just feel there's lots of stuff around there. I can
Jackie,
feel. Yeah,
Jackie, can I share a quick story on this one?
I would love it.
So one of my clients' heart chakra passed away suddenly 18 months ago. It's still so fresh for her, and messages me the other day telling me her doctor has diagnosed her with fibromyalgia. And then the cure or the treatment they want to give her is an antidepressant pill.
Yeah.
And it's so interesting when you read fibromyalgia, because it's blood and muscle tightening, contracting, like her heart aches so deeply because she loves her family so deeply. It's seeped into all the blood networks, all the muscles. Like it's incredible to see the energetic tie our body will release everywhere for it.
My girlfriend lost her son last summer and also suffers with fibromyalgia. And what's really neat is and thank you for sharing that, because you fucking nailed it on the head. Because with fibromyalgia, it's an immunosuppressant in, you know, Michelle and I are kind of making this emotional mastery class right now. And the beautiful thing about shame and guilt is that it will actually be at the root of fibromyalgia, because the vibrations of those two emotions together, because there's so much that comes around that they don't even want to be here anymore after losing your kid. How do you live through that? Like, I I kudos to any parent that can go through that in any way, shape, or form, because it's just wrong. You know, it's not the natural cycle of things. It's just not. And to you know, to expect them to be able to live without those, it's almost impossible. But how amazing is it that we know what could actually make a difference, right? And a doctor goes, I have the result for you. We're going to put you on a medication that's going to be harder to get off of than heroin. And, you know, so good luck with that. But it's no one's problem then, right? We'll just block out the emotions. It's like, yeah. So then the heart's gonna, like, what happens to the body when that happens? Because then you're just literally playing with the chemicals and stopping them. You know, sometimes that is a necessary thing, but really, when we're treating fibromyalgia with antidepressants, right? Thank you, Michelle. That's crazy. Yeah, go for it, Sarah. Oh, unmute yourself, love.
Sorry about that. Interesting that all came up that way. So when my son died, the doctor gave me a good talking to first. He was an African who had immigrated to Canada. And he said, look, I can give you an antidepressant and it will help. He's like, in the same way that a cast will help your broken leg. And that's all it will do. And he said, nobody will leave a cast on a broken leg beyond its usefulness, and you will not get antidepressants beyond the length of time that I would have put a cast on your broken bone, right? And he's like, it might be enough to support. He said, but you need to be really, really careful when you take a medication that you're not taking it as a cure, you're taking it as a crutch in order to heal from within. And I was 24 at the time. And I thought, okay, that's fascinating. And ever since, you know, having that paradigm put in my mind in that moment really helped, you know, frame all of that, because a lot of people do, you know, follow the medicine and the, okay, that's the answer. It's not the answer. It's just the temporary support if it's unbearable. And then you need, he's like, you better do the work. He said, I'm giving you 4 months. That's what he gave me. He's like, I'll give you 4 months. Do the work, because you're not getting any more. And I thought that that was just the loveliest gift from the universe in that moment, to have that.
That's
Yeah.
incredible. I'm so sorry. Thank you for sharing that. That's
I don't have fibromyalgia, so there you go.
right. And this is why, likely, you know, and even just being the vibration that you are, because the fibromyalgia, it's on so many levels. There's so many things that start happening once you get to that point, and the toxins that just start piling up in the body. It's just too much for the body to take, right? But there's this mind body code that I'm actually I sort of dove back into it, that I had read a long time ago, and it's all about sort of putting emotions into the energy portals of the body. So I might even bring a couple of those energy portals in tonight, just to allow some of that to shift, because I think that's why that's coming up, especially about the fibromyalgia. But when we start to really understand it, it's been treated so many times through doing energy work. It's incredible. You don't hear about it as much, but the case studies that I've seen on fibro are absolutely amazing with energy work. So,
You know, I'm sure my prognosis would have been entirely different if I didn't have that particular doctor who handed me my Luvox prescription at the same time as he promoted me into a certification for healing touch.
are you serious?
Mm-hmm. Same building. He's like, you go
That's
upstairs and
great.
you talk to Julia right now. I was like, yes, sir.
I mean, I took Healing Touch 20 years ago and I still use it. I love it.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. That is so cool, Sarah. Amazing how things do happen like that, right? And just, yeah, even just being in allowance of receiving that in a time when you're in trauma. You're not sometimes looking for those new pathways. You just kind of, you're just going to sort of stick on a well-worn trauma path. And so you made that choice even at that age to start. And that was probably just a piece of your journey going along, because everything now has, right? That's amazing. Absolutely. The universe is there, like the toughest things, the absolute toughest things, the support is there. It is. That's so beautiful.
I just
Okay.
do all of the energy work because I find it so, even though it's not recognized fully mainstream, it is so incredibly obvious that if you allow it to settle in your body, it will. And it's so much easier to clear before it lands, but it can still be cleared afterwards, right? It's like by the time you see it, it's like mold on bread.
Right?
By the time you see it, it's like, man, okay, we have to disinfect quite a bit here.
I love that. I always think of it like a hole that you have to dig yourself out of, but I like that mold on bread. That's awesome.
It's like, oh, I smell something there. That's not gonna be good.
Just scrape it off. It'll be fine.
And then my mom used to do that when I was a toddler. I get a scraper, I'd skim my knee, and she would I come running to her expecting a Band-Aid and peroxide and all of the things that my father would provide. And my mom would say, "Oh, no, you don't want that, dear. Let's just wipe that away." And she'd just cleanse the aura all around it.
Oh, wow.
And she's like, no, don't let that. Oh, do you think you burned yourself? No, you don't want that. Wipe, wipe, wipe.
That's
And
amazing.
I didn't know any different.
That's cool. That's really cool. I love it. I love it. I did some energy work. My husband has eczema. And it was like seepy. It was an awful mess. And I did some energy work on it. And he was kind of watching me and not expecting much. But within 2 days, I wish I had taken a picture because it was like 100% better. It was crazy. Like it was like I really wish I had taken a picture. And he's like, "Do you think that woo-woo stuff did that?" And I was like, "I think it might have, you know." It's really neat. Energy work's amazing. So we're gonna zip into the throat chakra because it's really cool. Once you start to get up to the throat chakra, up into the head and the crown, you actually start to feel your energy centers. You'll feel like a little bit of a high heart flutter, like you kind of get that that little sort of and that's an ascension symptom too. Feeling that high heart a lot. A lot of people think they're getting like heart skipping, but it's actually that high heart connecting and recognizing.
I'm having palpitations, Jackie.
Right? Call the ambulance again. No, it's good. We want those right now. We want those.
Take your shoes off and go stand on the ground and breathe.
That's it. Call 911. Take off your sandals and go outside. Hi, Chris.
And you know what? The age-old advice of go jump in a lake is actually very helpful.
Isn't it? Yep. Perfectly grounding. Go hop in that nice cold water and you're there. Absolutely. So the wonderful throat chakra, it is amazing. Hey, Chris. Um, it's all about your sort of projection to the world. So you can see and feel when your third eye and your throat chakra and your crown, when they're all blocked up, we really get the physical symptoms of, you'll have the the phlegm, the people will have that postnasal drip, they'll have an actually really quiet voice, and that's a closed throat chakra. And then you see and they'll be tone deaf, they'll have plugged ears, things like that. It can even be jaw trouble, thymus, thyroid trouble sometimes. And then on the other side, where you can be, really sort of full and open, is when you can't shush and you're, going, into crazy, inappropriately stories. Like, there's certain family members, they're, they have really open throat chakras, or they're just really loud, or they have other issues like stuttering, or they, don't know when to kind of stop. That's a really open throat chakra. And that can be, or really sort of, I don't want to say open, it's more of a really congested, it's really full of all sorts of stuff that maybe they've heard, maybe they've been experienced to, maybe it gets started way deeper than in from when we are just young. When we get up to the third eye, this is one that you can actually feel open sometimes, or feel when it sort of gets into balance, because our pineal gland is right behind right in sort of between the forehead, right in between the eyes there. And so often when I go into recode, or when I get into the field with people, it's immediately I get this heaviness, this pressure sort of on the bridge of my nose. I know exactly when I'm connected, especially with a group, because it'll be like, oof, it'll almost feel like heavy. But sometimes you'll feel your sinuses pop, or your sinuses will drain all of a sudden when we get up to that area. Or sometimes you can actually almost feel like this light kind of coming out of your forehead. It's really quite beautiful. The other thing that you can have is either really lucid dreams or hallucinations kind of happening. Sometimes you're not sure, am I actually seeing things, or am I actually, like, is this real, or did that just happen? You kind of feel like deja vus sometimes, that you're sort of jumping in timelines, things like that. You can be, if the third eye is really closed, it can end up that a person is really skeptical. They don't like, no, that's just nonsense, if they, or if they can't sort of get into visualizations or meditations, sometimes that third eye is closed. When a person is rather intuitive and tends to be a little bit psychic, we say that third eye is how you can sort of get those visions. A lot of times with ritualistic types of ceremonies, when they're doing cacao and things like this, it's the third eye that opens and they get to have these absolutely amazing experiences. And the other thing that'll happen is that your chemicals will balance out, your melatonin and your cortisol, all of the dopamine, most of the chemicals that are produced in the brain will end up really being able to work better when that third eye is not all sort of closed up. So I can actually see some little flowers starting to unfold right outside of my, almost like a pansy sort of opening up right now. It's beautiful. Even just kind of thinking about that energy center can be enough to allow it to sort of open. And now in getting to our crown, the very top, we tend to go with it's like an indigo type color. A lot of times it's even goes into like this iridescent-y, beautiful white sort of sparkly color. This can be, it'll show issues in things like chronic migraines or people that are just super rigid. A lot of people who are atheists will not see any kind of spiritual enlightenment or, really just closed-minded about stuff like that. Sometimes that crown chakra can be a little bit out of balance. We can also be the complete opposite, like going so crazy into religion that you don't even live a normal life anymore, that it's just, it can be a little bit sort of too much at the same time. So there are some attachments that come along with that. We tend to allow people in our lives that maybe don't deserve to be there, not don't deserve to be there, but aren't in alignment with us at that time. We can be very confused. And again, you see things like Alzheimer's and that hair stopping to grow, the follicles actually die on the top of the head. I always laugh that Dr. Phil has like the most closed crown chakra ever, because he's got this like perfect dome, but I know he also gets it cut all the time, and they shave it, but it's like this perfect, his crown chakra, it's just like there's no follicles working up there anymore, because he he's a very sort of logical, psychological type of thinker, right? So, and there's just structure, certain ways of doing things. It's just, you can really see people's personalities by how they look. Even, with a really out of balance root chakra, that's when your hips will be bigger. If it's a solar plexus, you'll have a hard time losing weight in that upper belly. If it's heart chakra, you'll have the back wings, the things that you'll look at your family, but that's where our epigenetics come from. And that's whose chakras we sort of started ourselves out from. So it's really incredible when you look at body structure and energy structure. It is true that if you change your energy structure, you can actually start changing your body structure as well. So the nice thing I like doing with chakras is when we allow them to sort of balance out on their own, I'm not going to tell them whether to open or close. We're literally just going to kind of go into each one and give it a few minutes to really just absorb some light. So now that we have brought all of that up into the field, I would love to guide you guys through a quick meditation. Not a quick meditation. It's not going to be super long. I'm going to try to keep it under time so I won't go crazy. But I really just want to set the intention of using this cosmic energy, using what's all around us right now, as far as all of the planetary alignments, allowing us to kind of go into this day tomorrow where we are really just present, where we really sort of enjoy the whole freedom feeling of having this space to really be ourselves and really kind of let this, I am having a total deja vu right now. It's just wild. But I want to really set that intention of just literally allowing this space to be able to help us let these things go right now. So I am going to mute you guys just so that I don't have background noise. And I may have someone else was going to hop into. So if I have to, I may end up just popping out for a minute. But are you guys feeling ready for this? Are you feeling ready to let some shit go?
Jackie, did you want to put me co-host so I can let them in while you're doing the...
You know what? I was thinking about that, but I want you to really enjoy the meditation too, and I want you to be able to just go
I'm gonna
for it.
offer, but yeah.
Okay, you're so sweet. Thank you. I'll try not to, I'll try and actually check in every once in a while. I do forget a lot of times to open my eyes. Oh, I love that. To Chris is saying yes, yes, definitely getting some strength to some areas. And that's that heart chakra too, right? I think you came in just at the right time. I think just had finished heart chakra, and heart chakra is kind of that one that, when we choose health and vitality, and we choose those cells to really start regenerating again, and we choose those cells to really know how to heal, that heart chakra is where a lot of that sets and settles. And so there's a lot of times where if that heart chakra is actually a little bit more free, the blood starts pumping. It starts moving through. I've seen someone increase their upper body strength just by being on an inversion board and getting the blood flowing a different way. He did nothing else with his workouts, and his arms were getting ripped, and he's like, "Oh, what's going on?" And we were talking about what he was doing, and that was the only thing that was different, just by that shift in blood flow. And by doing energy work, you can actually have the exact same thing happen. It's allowing that blood to start pumping through those areas, and allowing that lymph to start moving through those areas. Like there's everybody's got like swollen ankles, and like there's just puffy things, puffy, right? All this stuff has kind of come up, and now it's like, let's just let it go. Let's just let it move from our systems. And oh, I love that. So Shin's feeling weak or fragile. It concerns me sometimes. That's a beautiful thing, because that's actually your, sort of the calves are a lot to do with our path of where we're going. But those two little bones in there, they have to control the whole body weight, and whether it's like, if anything's vulnerable, our calf bones will often just shatter. Like when I treat people, it's never just a little break. It's like spiral fractures, shatters. Like they will just be obliterated by something like falling off a curb or something like that, if that area is kind of vulnerable. And the amount of blood flow, when you look at your bottoms of your legs, look at where spider veins start to come, where those little signs that hormones are off. That's how I know someone's hormones are off. If they've got all those little spider veins like all around the ankles and stuff, the shins, the feet, the ankles, they're such huge tellers of what's going on in the body. It's absolutely incredible. I think I have a recording in my group there, if you ever want to check it out, Chris. It's all about sort of what the body says too, and it's really interesting. So I want us to go into those areas when we're in this meditation. We're going to take a little scan around at the end, and literally send our healing colored breath into certain areas, so that we can, it's hormones, Jesse. Isn't that amazing? They say, oh, it's genetics. Well, the genetics are the hormones too, and their hormones were out of whack as well. They just didn't know that estrogen dominance was a thing, and it wasn't ever treatable. It was just, well, she's on her feet a lot, so that was how it was. But yeah, it's those hormones, especially when estrogen is an issue. So that's how I know that people are in a little bit of estrogen dominance. So it's probably a lot of other things too, hormonally, that go on that we could dial in a little bit. So in knowing that, right, we're going to dive into hormones. We're going to just literally allow everything on an energetic level to just settle down, to just literally come up, to let it go, to we're going to call in all the help that we need tonight to just have all this move. So whew, this is going to be fun. All right, I'd love for you guys to get as comfortable as you can and take some nice deep breaths. We're going to get in touch with our breath right now, and I'm going to just set up some energy. I'm just going to be giving some energy where it's needed, and just to help some of this stuff shift. And I want us to just start to sense, there goes my third eye, nice and heavy. I want us to just sense our breath right now. I want us to get connected with our breath. And when you're taking a breath in, I want you to draw it in for as long as you can, maybe 5-6 seconds if you can, through your nose, filling up your belly, filling up your chest, filling up those side lungs, maybe even filling up your head, just breathing in through that nose. And when you're breathing out, we want you to just breathe out through your mouth, deflating your belly, deflating your chest, relaxing your muscles, and just cracking your lips and breathing that breath out through your mouth for a good 5 or 6 seconds if you can. Try and really extend that breath as much as you comfortably can, and I'd want you to just keep doing that. Keep connecting with that breath, and I want you to feel it coming in through the nose, and I want you to imagine that as you're breathing in, you can start to feel that breath change into a certain color. And as we take our nice deep breaths in, I want you to relax every single muscle in your body, and I want you to just notice right now your pelvis. We're going to dive right down into that root chakra. And I want you to just feel what's going on in there right now. I want you to just send some of your breath down to that area. And I want you to notice that your breath is starting to turn into this beautiful red, deep sunset color. And in that deep sunset color of red, I want you to imagine your breath turning into almost like a smoky, silky, plasma-like fluid energy that's coming down into your pelvic area. And I want you to feel it all the way down into your hips. And I want you to feel as it is in your hips that it starts to almost leak down into the legs. And I want you to use your breath, breathing in through that nose and guiding that red coloration down into your pelvis. And we're just going to let it swirl. We're just going to let it soak into that cellular energy. We're going to almost feel as our breath starts to be absorbed into the cells of our pelvis. I want you to pay attention to that tailbone. I want you to pay attention to those hips, and I want you to just notice your pelvic floor muscles right now. I want you to feel as though your tailbone is starting to grow almost like roots that are coming down in and around your legs, just supporting them. These roots are going to keep traveling down deep, deep into Mother Earth, right into the center, right down to Mother Gaia, where all the energy can be exchanged perfectly and in order as it needs to for today. And just setting this safe energy around you, almost like a beautiful womb, this beautiful, protective, soft, permeable Merkaba. I see it just surrounding you. And just imagine those roots going all the way deep down into the earth. And I want you to notice that your legs are starting to fill with that breath that's coming in the most beautiful red, silky, plasma infusing cellular just beauty into that whole lower body. Feeling this whole energy center just being grounded, relaxing those pelvic floor muscles again. We're going to set the intention for the root chakra to be balanced beautifully and perfectly in the absolute perfect order by our breath that we're bringing in, and just connecting with your breath. I want you to just move your breath around that area, almost like a slow pinball would be moving around, just going to every little tiny little crevice, allowing a safe space for some of those traumas to come up right now. Not needing to spend a lot of time there, just allowing the breath to simply heal, transmute and clear any of those old memories that are hanging out in there. The memories of when you were a fetus, when your mother was first speaking words. Memories of things that you've wanted to birth, ideas, businesses. Acknowledging the losses of those, acknowledging the lack of boundaries with those, acknowledging those bad decisions, perhaps just forgiveness. I feel some fear that's in there that we're just not wanting to hang on to anymore. Noting that fear was really powerful in keeping our guard up, but allowing some of that fear to transmute where it's not being helpful anymore. Those fears of really being seen, those fears of really being loved, those fears of really being that grounded true self, being who you really are. And we're just going to allow any emotions, any forgiveness, any traumas that are just ready to be released, any parts of us that we gave away, willingly or unwillingly. Just allowing those right now to be cleared and transmuted into the field, just into the wisdom that we need. And allow that red coloration to start to fill the legs. Imagine that beautiful red healing energy starting to cleanse your thighs, removing all that stuff. Notice twitching. Notice that blood starting to pump through those calves. Notice that you can feel that heartbeat coming down your pelvis, down below your tailbone, into your butt. Treating all the sexual organs, treating all the trauma. Clearing and removing any dense energy, allowing it to be drawn out like a slight vacuum down through those roots that have grounded down into the earth. And moving now up into that sacral plexus, like a guitar that is tuning, you can automatically feel your breath start to be pulled into that sacral plexus, into that low back, into that lower stomach, like the red is just tuning the beautiful orange of the sunset so that they can all make this beautiful symphony together. And just feel that fine tuning. You may even feel a vibration coming through. You may start to feel discomfort or pain, cramps, old things in there. Allowing the rest of the sexual organs to just be tagged and treated for any traumas, releasing that down through the roots, allowing any darkness, any holes, any tears in any of those energy centers to simply be repaired. As you're letting this go, you may hear some gurgles or feel some gurgles. Sometimes it's even like sand moving through, and we get up into the solar plexus, those ducts start to open. So don't be alarmed, just notice and enjoy. And I want us to send some breath down into that sacral plexus. This is where anger likes to reside. We're just going to let that know, knowing that anger is popping up when boundaries have been crossed, when imbalances have been said, when so much has been given and none has been taken back, and allowing that forgiveness when we allowed that to happen, and just treating that And taking your breath and moving it through your sacral plexus, allowing that energy to just start flowing through that low back. Imagine that blood starting to pump. Setting the intention to allow your breath to simply push out any of those traumas, any of those boundary crossings. And allowing that orange coloration to start to grow and to start to tune your solar plexus in, and notice the yellow that starts being infused from your breath. I want you to bring your breath in through your nose and right down into your diaphragm and let that solar plexus expand. Just expanding with every breath, clearing and transmuting. Every time you've been punched in the gut, every time the wind got knocked out of you, every time you heard horrible news and went, allowing all of that fascia to unwind and untwist around that stomach, allowing all of those cross boundaries to simply be replaced by beautiful light, allowing that yellow, that beautiful sunshine to start just glowing from inside the belly, allowing that golden light, that beautiful sunlight, to start to empower you. And notice that that yellow actually starts to trickle in a little bit down into those lower plexuses, down into those lower energy centers. And I want you to just feel the blood starting to pump through that belly. I want you to feel that inner knowing, that true self, that inner child that was free. This is where they live. Right above that solar plexus, below the heart center, there's our little wishing well. Those things we always wanted to do, those things that we always felt were natural. Those things that we recognize about ourselves that may just be a little unique. In such a beautiful way, I want you to notice your gifts right now. I want you to breathe in those gifts, whatever comes to mind, without feeling any parts holding you back, just enjoying this beautiful sunshine, shining light on your gifts. And I want you to notice if there's any pain creeping in right now, if you're starting to feel anything that's wanting attention right now. I want you to almost send your breath down straight into that area and ask what it's needing to show you right now. Allowing those deeper, lower vibrational energies and emotions to come to surface right now. The fear, the anger, the sadness, the grief. There's sadness that's so deep in there. And as we touch onto that sadness, we're going to allow the green light to start moving into your chest cavity, into your back, into your spine. And I just want you to notice these beautiful green pillars of light going on either side of your spine right now in support. Almost like a cast, almost like a brace, a beautiful support. And we're just placing these green pillars right beside your spine, right from the top of the shoulders all the way down to just where the rib cage ends, just supporting in beautiful green pillars of light, that safety. Repairing those times we were stabbed in the back and clearing and transmuting all of that. repairing those parts of the heart that felt like they could never be repaired, allowing the wisdom to just come right now from what was being held. It might not even be what you think it is, just allowing that. Allowing those pillars of light to start to glow, to start to spread to the point where you feel it into the sides of your lungs, into the armpits, into your lymph, almost like this washing with your breath. Send your breath right into the heart. I'm just going to hold this heart space. There's a lot of stuff here. Every time you've stopped yourself from crying and said, stop it, it went to this area. There can be rivers of tears that just need to simply be let out. When our heart chakra feels acknowledged, it'll let a tear out, it'll let a breath out. I want you to start to feel that vibration raise as we've gone up from our solar plexus into these new vibrations, these higher vibrations, these connected to source type vibrations. We're going to call in all the archangels. We are going to call in any true and meaningful sources of light right now, Saint Germain and Raphael, to help with this heart healing. Remove some of that heaviness, remove the rods from the spine that we feel like we've had to have. Remove the barbed wire from the heart. Removing the chains of the prison, removing the lock. I can feel a key going right in the front of my chest, literally unlocking. Feeling safe, being held in this universal morphic energetic field where all healing can take place. And allowing that green energy to move into the arms. Allow your breath to now move into the upper arms, the elbows, the lower arms. Feeling that energy start to pump through the hands. Did you feel that turn on? Your hands may be tingling right now, and if there's an area of your body that's just feeling like it needs your hands to be there, I'd love you to just take your hands and put them on that area. If it's your upper back like I'm feeling right now, I'm just going to put my hands there for you. Taking a nice deep breath, I want you to feel that green light move into your breast tissue. Just cleaning and clearing all of that. There's been some worries around there, some stress, some distress. We're going to allow all that to go right now. Allow that lymph to start working in the armpits again. Cleaning, clearing, and transmuting. Simply balancing this energy center. And I want you to picture the light starting to shift into a gorgeous blue as it moves up into your throat. As it moves up into your thymus, there's that high heart thumping. Being recognized, being happy, that excited, happy feeling that you can start to get. As that energy moves in and around the throat, allowing you to sing like you've never sang before again, and allowing you to speak as you've never spoken, allowing you to just close off all of those silent little voices, those, yeah, but you, we're just letting those all fall away right now. Breathing them out and allowing them to be plunged all the way down through those roots, deep down into Mother Earth. And bring some of this light through. Any extra colors that you need, any extra light that you need. I want you to control this with your breath. You are in your body right now and you're knowing what it's feeling. Allow yourself to see the colors moving around. Allow yourself to see those energy centers tuning each other like guitar strings, moving all the way up from the bottom to the top. And I want you to just imagine almost like a light collar starting to just open up all around your throat, allowing that blue light to simply transmute up into that beautiful purple indigo color. Up into the forehead, allowing that third eye to open, allowing that pituitary gland, allowing that pineal gland to start to literally be massaged. I can see this beautiful flower like it's a big daisy or a big pansy or a begonia of sorts that has these petals that were sort of just ready to bloom out of a bud. And I want you to almost imagine that coming out of your forehead right now. This little flower unfolding, massaging your pineal gland, massaging those little crystals. Just holding that head space for you. Allowing that veil to come off, allowing yourself to see, allowing yourself to be seen. Allowing your truth to come in. No, you're not crazy. Choosing to enjoy the ride. I want you to imagine that whole energy center opening up like a big window for you to finally see your true self. And as we really envision our true selves, I want you to feel the fine tuning of that crown chakra and that 1,000-petal lotus that's right at the top of your head. I want you to feel those petals literally start to open. And as it does, it's like beams of light are starting to shine. They're starting to shine out of your head, out of your house, out of your neighborhood, out of your city. Imagine a light beam from every single 1,000 petal in that lotus, getting bigger and bigger, connecting to the universe, connecting to the enlightenment paths that are out there. I'm just asking Superconscious to show you a few ways right now to see that true self for what it really is. Allowing that crown to truly open, to truly unfurl, to truly unfold. Releasing the distress, releasing those memories that were ready to simply let go. And as we light up that crown chakra, there is a soul star that's above us. It emits this beautiful light that's always coming down, source energy. And I want you to imagine that beautiful light in this almost clear, iridescent-y, shimmery way to simply be drawn in through that crown chakra and down to the systems anywhere that are needed right now. just treating forgiveness of ourselves. Just making that choice to be the kindest version of ourselves to ourselves, making that actual choice. Choosing to really, really go for it. Even if it's just taking care of ourselves, even if it's just, I want you to notice what comes in for you right now. There's still some stuff around the crown, so we're just going to clear that. And I want you to connect with your breath again and allow it to come in through your nose, noticing what it feels like and noticing where it goes. Can you clearly send that breath all the way down to your feet? Can we turn on that lymph? Can we activate all of our cells that are fully capable of healing, that are fully capable of regenerating and replicating? Can we turn on our superpower inside of regeneration, clearing, reliving right now, releasing and reviewing? Are going to give us that relief, and I want you to just feel the word relief start to penetrate through your body. And we're going to take that word and allow it to go to each energy center in our body, just bathing it in the word relief, allowing it to just be free. And I want you to just notice where that word bounces around in the body, where it just needs some relief. And one more time, we're going to go through the body almost with your breath like a ping pong ball or a pinball, moving through the body, almost like a little detective, looking for anything else that may just be ready now to come up to be cleared and transmuted while it's in the field. There's a few little parts that didn't feel safe. But with all this space now, we're just allowing so much shift to happen. I want you to just notice where your breath is going. You may feel drawn again to put your hands on your body somewhere. Please do so. And allow that energy to just flow through that soul star, down through your hands and into your body, wherever it is that you need that energy. And taking our breath, I want you to imagine your breath filling every single cell at the exact same time in this beautiful, expansive way with every breath in. Feel how it can just fill your head right now. Feel as if it can just fill your chest. Bringing it down, that root chakra just needs one more little combing through. So we're just going to allow those energy centers to start feeling that breath swirl around. And I want you to just notice what those colors feel like in your body right now. Is it movement? Is it flowing? Does there feel like there's some dark spots? Does it feel like there's some things that are just ready to be flushed out? We're just going to use this light from the soul star up above our head, coming down through the crown, almost like a big plunger. We're just going to plunge anything else that needs to come up right now. Plunging it down through the head, down through our eyes, our third eye. Just plunging that light, making sure it's all tuned exactly how it needs to be tuned. Just safely. Anything coming up is exactly what's supposed to. And just tagging and treating anything else in the field that might be struggling coming up, that just needs a little bit of help. Tagging and treating a few more of those fears, the fears of those big limiting beliefs. All of those fears of not being capable, not belonging, just noticing anything last being plunged out. Just not falling for the stories anymore. Just, we've seen too much now. We know too much. We know the truth. And tagging and treating the truth. And anything else in the field that needs it right now, we're just plunging down. Moving through that throat chakra, moving through the heart. Just gently plunging out any darkness. And once you plunge it, it's this most beautiful, different shimmering light that's happening in a brand new way. It's rather magical. It's turning sparkly once this plunger moves through. And the colors are getting a little more vibrant, and they're filling up those cells a little bit more, and they're starting to vibrate a little bit faster, and you can feel the energy. We're just going to place that energetic Merkaba around our body, around our energy field, just keeping us in this safe Zen space, almost like we're just floating in the lotus position in this beautiful, harmonized state with everything so clean and clear that we're actually floating. I want you to notice the lightness that you may feel. The connection with Source right now, being one in expansiveness, feeling that feeling. Not tied to anything, not avoiding anything, not chasing anything, simply in that wizard's gate of knowing, of feeling your truth. And I want you to just take a few last deep breaths, moving through the body, allowing that breath to go to any area that needs it. Letting those colors just move almost like water in a container, just balancing out, allowing those colors to settle in layers as they tune each other up. It feels nice and clear. And I want you to stay in this bubble, this expansiveness. And in your last couple of nice deep breaths, just be very grateful for all of the releasing, all of the allowing, all of the memory fields that came up today to show us what was ready to be let go. Show us some of those old patterns that just don't serve us anymore. And some of those old traumas that were just not serving us in any way, but simply just causing blockages. And cleaning and clearing and transmuting that on all timelines. in all memory fields and grounding all of that into the matrix of the universe. And when you're ready, you can just wiggle some toes. Just closing out everybody's systems here so you're not all wired. Got some goosebumps happening. And I apologize, there's lots of stomach growling on my part going on when I was in the solar plexus and sacral. My stomach was making so much noise, I was worried that it was catching on the microphone, so I apologize if that was happening at all. Oh, that was awesome. Thank you guys for being here with me tonight to be able to do that. Oh, there's some big stuff moving. I can still feel some upper back stuff there. So I'll just kind of continue sending some energy out there. There's lots of heaviness. I didn't go into it, but that weight of the world was on a lot of shoulders. There's just like, maybe that's what it is, because it's like that's a bit of a heaviness that I feel right now. So I'm just gonna try and kind of clear that out a little bit. But I actually felt like I had to kind of go and almost like put my hands on your back beside the spine to just give it that support. It's like there was a fear of lack of support in that upper back. So it was kind of interesting. Those were some insights that I had popping into my field. How was that for you guys? Did anybody want to share? This is going to take some shifting. This is, I think, why this happened tonight, so that tomorrow we could be still, because it was sort of imperative and set up cosmically to sort of have a still day tomorrow. So try, even if people are coming over, try and get some time to yourself to be able to just really be. I think it'll be really important. Yeah, Michelle, I'd love if you shared.
I've got a weird split sensation happening right now. It's interesting because the relaxation hit all my heart and down, which is very needed because I'm very open, very closed, but it's almost like it needed the polar flip. Like I've got this weird burning tingle, this like my third eye closed up, and like there's a heaviness. It's like the heaviness you're feeling,
Isn't that
but
wild, hey?
everything else is like a puddle.
Isn't that funny? Yeah, it's definitely like like I almost feel like I need someone to just come massage my shoulders right now, just to kind of like it's a really
And
weird.
mine like I want the massage in my spine, and I want somebody to like massage this crevice of my jaw and ear. So
So
weird.
it's beautiful that you notice that, because that's probably where, we're intuitive, but that's where there's like a fear of almost letting that go, or we've never been really allowed to. So where it's like you have to stifle it. It's like put the lid on the cooker, right? Not let anybody see what's in there. So that's interesting that comes up. And also, I feel for some reason tapping, like I don't often talk about tapping, but I don't know if you've done any, but even just like kind of, you tap your forehead, you go to the side, you do the acupuncture points. I didn't end up bringing in any acupuncture points, but that probably would have helped. And especially because even sickness wise, so much going on for you, it's like this little blockage where it's just making itself really known right now. So get out your quartz, get out your get out your Epsom salts again. Maybe even I would sit in a bath. And Sarah's got her quartz right there. I have this hunk of quartz. I have it upstairs in my bed right now. I've just been putting it on my head lately. like I felt like making a TikTok. Does anybody else need a quartz just resting on their? No, just me. Like
That'd be a good one.
I actually sleep with this giant chunk of quartz.
That's where mine is right now.
I had the strangest experience after we were going through all of the clearing and the balancing. And that wasn't unusual or unfamiliar, and there was some, oh, notice this or notice that, and okay, kind of like an adjustment. After you got, there was an extra focus or some, whatever you were doing with the, the crown.
Yeah.
all of the petals and all of the beams, from as soon as that was all opened and acknowledged, I saw a pair of eyes. I don't know, maybe 3 feet from me. I couldn't see their whole face, and I didn't recognize who it was, but they were like dead on eye contact for the whole rest of it. And it was like all of that balancing went through. I don't know what that was. It was just, it was a real entangled, balancy, flowy, ribbony thing. It was, I was like, I'm just staring at this person's eyes, and I'm like, and then I was like, but who is it? Like, maybe I could figure it out.
Yeah.
Idea.
It may
But it
come to
was
you
really
too.
strong, really
That's so
strong
cool.
energy. It was
Oh,
wild. You
that
said,
is wild. I love it.
then you grounded it all again.
Yes.
And it was like, felt like something got riveted to the earth, like just right it, like jammed right down.
Lunged.
Lovely.
Oh, God.
Just so lovely. But I'm fascinated. I mean, sometimes I can see my own reflection in the screen. I can't right now. Like, I'm not at an angle where I see my own eyes.
Exactly, right? Like it was
I'm
clear, like
like,
you
maybe
know.
if I was sitting like, no, it wasn't me. I have no idea who it was. It was really cool. So
That
thank
is
you.
so wild. I love it. I absolutely love it. And it may end up popping in, or maybe it's someone that you haven't even met yet. Maybe it's that twin flame that's just on the other side. Because once that crown shot, the soul star, once the
The
soul
soul
star
star thing
opens,
goes. Now, I did catch that when you were talking soul star, it was a double beam. And I'm
okay.
like, oh, crud. Here's
Hope you're
some
ready.
drama. Here's some, guess what? My cards, I just pulled the top off of both decks. I shuffle nervously sometimes while I'm listening.
I do that too.
I got the
Are you
same card, 2
are
decks,
you serious? Oh my gosh, Sarah.
deck, and I'm like, oh, that's interesting, because last night my true choice was to meet a someone.
Well, I think it's gonna happen because that's pretty darn cool. And that soul star, once it's open, it allows a lot of those relationships, and it also helps to free up, even curses and things like that, things that have been put on you from other people. So it's really cool how when some of those things start to open up and shift out, we don't even know that that's what that is. It'll come in with soul star and with heart chakra. So it's really cool. I didn't get into that too much, but there was definitely some other stuff there that was moving. So
That was a whole ton of energy at the end of it. I was just like, let me help hold some of that. Mm. Oh, how delicious.
I'm so
So neat. I feel like I've gone for a chiropractic adjustment of my energetic body.
yes.
I've called it that in recodes before, but I feel like that was like a lovely walk through.
Right. And the inner
Um,
alignment, that inner alignment literally makes that outer alignment, like
yeah.
like instantaneously. So yes. Oh, I want to hear from you how your weekend was this weekend.
Right. And it's interesting because I am going to I'm going away to see family and kick around a totally different town. I'm going up to the North Shore of New Brunswick. So
My gosh,
like,
they're gonna write a movie about this.
so
I feel like this is a Hallmark movie. You're gonna go. This is a.
Well, I thought I better say something just in case, and she's got recorded evidence and there, because I have no clue.
Oh, I love this.
I don't know,
You have to-
but it was really when you started with the root chakra, and I don't know how you described it, but it was funny because all I could see was Meryl Streep's red scarf in Mamma Mia, how it was flying around. And I was just thinking this beautiful crimson red scarf
I love
that
it.
just melted into and absorbed into everything.
That's so
And it was
cool.
so soft and beautiful. It was just so lovely, Jackie. Thank you.
I'm so glad you're here, Sarah. I love having your energy here. And it's so fun because I'm like, oh, that makes sense. Because when I was seeing it at first, it was like this smoky, magical, swirly. And then all of a sudden I was like, it's silky. And like, even if you listen to the record, I'm like, it's silky. That's okay. Thank you.
There it is.
You can put what was going on in my head in words. So that's perfect. And thank you so much for sharing. I really appreciate you being here and just always being such a huge support. You've been so wonderful through this whole time. We wouldn't be here without you. So thank you for playing out full out with us. It's so good.
Thank you for having me.
Oh, it's my pleasure. And Jesse, you said your shoulders finally let go. I finally feel like, because that it was intense, and when after you typed that, it was like, yeah, that's much better. And I was also when I'm doing this, I'm actually sort of clockwise giving a little bit more energy into opening that crown chakra, just giving that last sort of little surge of energy. Sometimes if it's too much and people have crazy migraines, I'll be going over their head in a clockwise circle, in a counterclockwise circle. So you guys can experiment with that. Someone who has a crazy head,
You look like you're spinning plates.
it almost feels like it too. Yeah, like it's like, ooh.
Like, what are you doing? Okay, thank you for that, because I was like,
What is she doing? Yeah, you can literally put your hand
spinning
just
all these plates on these sticks, and I'm like, I don't know what she's doing.
so good. You're so welcome, Heather. Good night. Thank you so much for coming tonight. I know I went way over. It was not my plan, but did anybody else want to share? I have time. I didn't want to cut you guys off. I know Heather had to go, so I was just saying good night. But if you guys have to go, by all means, feel free to hop off if you want to share. I'm always happy to hear. We are good. Jesse needs a little rest now. Be gentle on yourselves. Do, if you can, an Epsom salt soak. Drink some water. Just really take care of yourself. Really honor yourself tomorrow. Really just go with what you need. Pay attention to that. Even just, if things get kind of crazy, take a few minutes even just for yourself to just even picture your soul star lighting up and just letting that light come through, or picture a plunger almost moving through. Picture that little Merkaba, that you're in that nice little safe.
Oh, that was so pretty.
Yeah, I didn't know.
And I'm like, oh, look, it's a Merkaba.
Right? I didn't know that was coming. Then all of a sudden I'm like, oh, we have a Merkaba. So I was like, even in the I'm like, a Merkaba?
It went right into Metatron's cube all around
I
me.
almost called on him too, and I was like, no, Raphael, because he's here for healing. But oh, Metatron and I have this connection. Oh, it's so true.
That was stunning. And
Guys.
what was it? There was another piece of it that I just found. Oh, all of it. But yeah, the cube, definitely, I picture it like the residual, kind of like, when you pull you open the tub drain and it starts going, but it's not fully drained for a while and you're drying off and doing other stuff and it's still kind of going. And so I try and remember that my tub's not always drained at the end of the session. And so trying to keep grounded or do a salt bath and just focus on the tub finishing draining.
Absolutely.
Oh.
Absolutely. Right? That's so huge because it totally doesn't happen all at once. It's like all of a sudden something will come up tonight and it's just like, okay, so yeah, Let yourselves go through it for every motion that's going on, just recognizing it from that.
And then you can just super conscious rinse the tub.
Right? I like that, actually.
It's
Really like
a
that.
nice little shower.
I like that. I like that. I'm
I'm
gonna
weird, Jackie. You're the only one I can talk to.
like, yeah, let's do the super conscious rinse.
I'm like, let's just have a soul star shower, and we're just gonna take the plugs out of the bottoms of our feet, and it'll be lovely.
I can hear it and feel it swirling now. Yes.
It's just like all of the, no baby with the bath water, just the bath water off
That's
it.
right. That's right. Oh, you
Goodness.
guys are so lovely. I love you so much. Thank you for coming tonight.
Thank you, Jackie. I'm gonna go and tuck myself in
Good
after
for
I
you.
drink about 8 gallons of water.
Excellent. I look forward to seeing you guys next week. Mwah.
You go, yes.
Good night, everybody. Thanks, Chris. I'm so glad. I'm so glad. I wasn't sure if we lost you or not. That's awesome. Did you actually stay still for the meditation, Chris? Thanks, Jesse. Good. That's awesome. Good for you. All right. I will be seeing you guys next week. I know I'll be hanging out with both of you. So thank you so much. I love you guys, and we'll see you then. Have a great night and a great weekend. Thanks so much.